Broadcasting down in the bayou, it's MarkOutMania, a podcast featuring two average Joe wrestling fans talking about the business they love and so much more. And now, here's Ryan Keith and Patrick Fry.
And welcome to episode 7 of MarkOutMania. Patrick, how's it going?
It's going good, man. We're 7 episodes in strong.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's the Christmas holiday season, so first of all, I'd like to send a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays out to all of our listeners out there as, I'm just getting ready for Christmas. A lot of things to talk about today. You know, you think this time of the year that when it comes to wrestling, at least, other than New Japan, of course, with Wrestle Kingdom coming up, the WWE doesn't have much to talk about, but some big things happened this week, not only Clash of Champions, but on Raw. We're going to talk about that, so we're going to review the Clash of Champions. We're going to also talk about Raw, the things that went down on Raw. We're also going to do a new segment, and it's not going to be like a consistent segment, but it's a new segment that it was Ryan's idea, and I think it's pretty cool. It's Are They Worth It? What he's going to do is he's going to name some wrestlers. Tell me, apparently you have a list of all the 2017 salaries of the wrestlers, and he's going to tell me the salary, and I'm basically going to say if I think they're worth it or not. Also, Ryan's going to give his opinion as well. The Rumor Mill, of course. I don't think we had the Rumor Mill last week, so the Rumor Mill is back.
It's back,
as
baby.
well as Cheap Heat. A lot of Cheap Heat this week, too.
Yes.
I find. Then we're going to wrap it up at the end. We're gonna the Wrestle Kingdom final card. It's been finalized, so that means we're going to talk about Wrestle Kingdom and also talk about our January the 2nd show, which is going to be a Wrestle Kingdom preview show, which we will have our New Japan expert, Jonathan Brinkman, in the studio with us on January the 2nd talking about Wrestle Kingdom. So that's what we have on the agenda for episode number 7.
That's right, and you can find us at MarkOutMania.com. That's your one hub for everything. You can find us on Twitter, on Facebook, on iTunes, on iHeartRadio, baby. That's right, we're in it. And
we made it to the big time.
Exactly. SoundCloud, Spreaker, anywhere that you get podcast, we're probably going to be there. So that's your one hub, MarkOutMania.com. And remember, you can become a $1 a month supporter of the show on Patreon, and that will give you access to our Discord server. And you could be listening to the show right now live, uncut.
Yeah, like you would have heard, probably those who are listening now to the final produced copy, you won't catch what I told Ryan just now. His levels were a little high. At least it looked like that on the computer screen, so I wanted to make sure he turned it down. But if you were listening on Discord, you would have heard that raw, uncut audio from in the studio here. So, yes, join us on Discord because it's really cool. Like, I'm the kind of person, when I listen to a radio show, I like to listen to it live. And even whether it's even podcast, because nowadays people do podcasts. They basically, you can't really listen to it live, at least most of them. Some of them you can, most of them you can't. But in this case, you can join our Discord server for how much is it again?
It's $1 a month. Yeah,
that's one hell of a price for a monthly fee. It's cheaper than the WWE Network. I know most of you out there listening have the WWE Network. So $1 a month, and it what we do with the money is, we use it to make this show better as far as getting some better equipment and, using it to boost our posts, get our name out there. We get more fans in here, get more interaction, not just, between Ryan and I and the fans, but, some of you other fans can interact with one another, and that's the beauty of the internet nowadays, especially on Twitter. I find on Twitter a lot of wrestling fans, they interact with one another, and that's why I like being on Twitter. Granted, I don't really interact with a lot of people on Twitter. I just tweet. Nobody really reacts to what I tweet, so I just tweet my thoughts, and every now and again I might get into some banter with, Brinkman or some of my other buddies that watch wrestling. But, so join us on Discord, $1 a month, and it all goes to the show and making this show better. Yeah,
just go on Gender's page and say he sucks. You're going to get a lot of banter on that.
Oh, yeah.
Discord is available on all supporting, I don't even know what you would call them, all supporting Patreon levels.
Yeah.
So whether you do the $10 a month, $5 a month, it all supports the show, and you get access to our Discord. It's really, really cool. All right, let's go over Clash of Champions.
Yeah, absolutely. Clash of Champions, last week when we were sitting here, let's talk about the scorecards first. Our scorecards, much closer, at least between you, me, and Brinkman this week. Brinkman got first once again, so he's 2-0 so far.
You Brink.
Yeah, but he barely got first. He scored 96 points. I did much better than I did for Survivor Series. I mean, you can't get much worse than what I did, but I scored 94, so I was 2 points, and then you scored a 92.
Yeah.
So we were fairly even there, which is, I like that. You know, we ended 2017 on a good little note there with the scorecards. Looking forward to the Royal Rumble, and what we're going to do is obviously we're going to keep track all year long in 2018 how we do on each scorecard, and I'm really looking forward to the Rumble. What I'm really looking forward to for these scorecards, and if you haven't played along yet, go download these scorecards. I think the Rumble scorecard will be available January 24th, I think, is the Wednesday before the Rumble, probably around noontime that day, and we're going to do a podcast. We haven't figured out the exact schedule yet, but we're going to do it probably, I'd say, the Friday, again, before the Royal Rumble, so that way it'll give you guys time to play along when we do our podcast, because obviously now, we got to the point where when we do a preview show, we are going to just fill out the scorecards and go along with it. So go download them, PW Scorecards on Twitter, and we also always, of course, put the link up to the document on our Facebook and Twitter pages as well. So be sure to play along with us starting in 2018 with the Royal Rumble. And the Royal Rumble's so far, man. I got to wait over a month now. Oh, man. The Royal Rumble match is my favorite match of the year by far. It's my favorite because, one, it's the most unpredictable in my opinion, at least in some cases. And, you had the possibility of superstars coming back, some superstars maybe making a debut, surprise entrance. It's, like I said, the most unpredictable match of the year, in my opinion. And now, of course, we're going to jump on this in a little bit. Get 2 Rumble matches this year. So that is the Royal Rumble this year is going to be very special for that particular reason. But we're talking Clash of Champions, the scorecards. We were all very close, so that was fun. Now, as far as what actually happened on the show, it was a solid show. It was, this time of the year, you don't really have high expectations for a pay-per-view like that, especially, the end of the year, it's the holidays and stuff like that. I guess, maybe, at least for the Raw brand, they're already focused on the Royal Rumble. And SmackDown, they put on a good show. The best match of the night, arguably, was probably the Fatal 4-Way Tag Team match. At least I think as far Dave Meltzer's the one that gives the star rating and all that. I think he gave that like a 4, maybe 4.5 stars, something like that, or 4.25 maybe. I can't remember what it was, but he was very high on that match, and I was also very high on the AJ Styles Jinder Mahal match. I think that was the best match that Jinder Mahal's put on since he won the title, and I didn't expect anything different because come on now. I mean, I could go in the ring with AJ Styles and he can make me look phenomenal. So
did you see all the memes with Jinder about how his body was looking?
Yeah,
about the thing with the nip poking out.
Yeah, like what? I don't know.
That was weird. It's like he had a suction cup on it.
I don't know. And then he's got all that back, and then they showed like the back acne and all that stuff.
It said the only pops Jinder's going to get tonight.
Oh man, yeah. That's a good one, and it makes you wonder. A lot of people, were talking using the word steroids, and obviously with the transformation Jinder's had, that. I mean, that's some people. That's the first thing you think of.
That's funny that you said transformation and then gender.
Don't hinder Jinder now. Hopefully,
he might be taking a trip to Sweden.
Hopefully, for our sake, that's the last we see of Jinder, and as far as the WWE Championship picture.
Yeah.
But I would not be opposed to him maybe being in the U.S. Championship picture, because I think he, while his wrestling is still not even close to what it should be, he is the epitome of a great heel. He's got, as far as his character and gimmick and all that stuff, the perfect heel. The dude he's very vanilla when he wrestles. And like I said, it's the best match he's had since winning the title back in May. And, of course, losing it to AJ back, I think, in early December or late November. But when you're in the ring with AJ Styles, like I said, I can go in the ring with AJ Styles, and he can make me look phenomenal. So it was a good match. Some other matches,
Before we get too deep into this, and before I forget, I want to give some listener shout-outs.
Okay, go ahead.
Some listeners actually posted on our Facebook page their Clash of Champions scorecards.
Okay.
Yeah, so Tremont Butts from Atlanta, good job, sir. I didn't go through his score, and he didn't put a score on his, but also Josh from Australia posted his, and he got a 90.
Oh wow! Look, Josh.
Yeah.
Way down under over
Down
there.
under.
He's hanging in there. I'm glad to see we got some wrestling fans from all over the place. Filling out some scorecards, sending it to us. We really appreciate that. And anybody who sends us a scorecard with their scores or whatever the case may be, we will definitely give you guys a shout out on the podcast.
Definitely. And in 2018, we're going to get the guys from Las Vegas that are behind the pro wrestling scorecards on the show.
Really?
Definitely. I thought you were going to work on that for us.
Oh, okay, that's true. Yeah, I forget. You got to remind me of these things. I'm a very forgetful person.
All right. I was sorry to interrupt you, but I wanted to do that and give them shout outs because I didn't want to forget that.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely. Feel free to interrupt me. And you can give me the hand signal. Nobody can see it, so you can give me the hand signal. I see you gave me the hand signal. I said, it's Ryan's turn. Because sometimes I will accidentally hog the mic. But yeah,
no, that's all good.
But of course, we're talking about the matches that happened at Clash of Champions. The AJ Styles gender match, pretty good match. The Fatal 4-Way Tag Team Championship match was really good as well. And other than that, though, the triple threat match was actually pretty good for the U.S. Championship. Ziggler won, and an interesting segment on SmackDown this past week where Ziggler basically just left the title in the ring and walked off with it. I mean, I'm trying, everybody's wondering, what could this mean? Now they're talking about Ziggler. He's not going to be on TV for a while, but he's going to be at live events. I don't know what direction they're trying to go in, and it was funny because there was a picture of the title belt, and I don't know who tweeted it, in the ring by itself. Like, what does this mean? And this Twitter account called WWE Vacant, replies, "Oh, I know what this means." And I guess they're trying to say the title's vacant. Somebody, I was reading I like to read the comments on Reddit, and one of the guys was saying something about, and this kind of somewhat made sense because WWE has done this before. Where, remember when CM Punk won the WWE Championship, Money in the Bank? He left the company for a week, and what they had to do was they made a new title that was basically it was vacant, even though CM Punk was still carrying it around to Wrigley Field and wherever the hell he went for that week. But they made a new championship, and I think they had Cena and Rey Mysterio battle it out. Cena ended up winning, and then Punk comes back. He has the real title. Cena has the interim championship, I guess is what you would call it. They face off. I think it's SummerSlam for the actual. They unify the titles, and that. I don't know if that's what they do, but it certainly is a very, very interesting, very interesting there. And then also a match I almost completely forgot about, the tag team match, Nakamura and Orton versus Zayn and Owens, where the big spot there was Zayn was about to get the pinfall on Orton. Shane was going to count it to 2, and then he went to count 3, and he just stopped, and he was just and look, if he could have came down for 3 because Orton's shoulders were he did not kick out, even though Shane stopped counting. He did not kick out, and then about a few minutes later, Zayn rolls up, I think Orton again, and Daniel Bryan 1, 2, 3, boom, like that. I mean, the quick count, and then they had they had somewhat of a. They had a discussion about that, Shane and Daniel Bryan did. It looks like, in my opinion, they're kind of going in the direction of having a Shane versus Daniel Bryan. At least that's what everybody's saying. Still, and I think I can't remember if Daniel took a couple of bumps in that match, maybe some very small bumps. But I was hoping he'd take some big bumps because that's good news if Daniel Bryan's taking some bumps. Yeah. Because that means they're gonna, they're starting to maybe wean him back into the ring. And he also sent out an interesting tweet to Nakamura. Him and Nakamura were talking about. Nakamura tweeted that something about him and Daniel Bryan being in the same ring, and Daniel Bryan replied, I wish it would under better circumstances if I actually had my wrestling gear on or something like that. Hey, that would be one hell of a match if Daniel Bryan and Nakamura could get in the ring together. Of course, I don't know. WrestleMania is still a ways away, but right now, the number one thing that looks like is going to happen, maybe we see Shane and Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania. So a lot of things happening there on SmackDown.
Right. Speaking of that match and tweeting, Vince Russo getting a lot of heat over what he tweeted about that match, saying that Sami Zayn is an amateur and shouldn't be in the ring.
That's blasphemy. I've seen Brinkman was kind enough to show me some old wrestling DVDs of El Generico. And dude, that dude is one of the best. I would say right now in the world, I'd give him top top 20 wrestlers in the world right now, maybe even top 10. He's really, really good, especially from what I've seen from his El Generico days, but he's really, really good. And I mean, the fact that Vince Russo would say that he's an amateur and shouldn't be in the ring. What's Vince Russo doing nowadays?
A podcast.
Okay.
You know what's funny?
Well, that you say that now. I mean, we're doing a podcast, so I guess I can't really insult him for doing a podcast.
Our buddies over at Pro Wrestling Roundabout, they're interviewing a wrestler from Denham Springs, Mike White, and he's having some issues with Pro Wrestling 225 right now, where he got chokeslammed at the last event by one of his guys, and now he's suing PW 225 for an unsafe workplace.
Really?
Yeah. So they're having him on tonight at 7 p.m. Of course, you may hear this podcast in a few days. Just go check out Pro Wrestling Roundabout. But what's funny is the ring announcer and the production company that I roll around with, Rod Sterling, commented on the thing. If controversy equals cash, this guy should be a millionaire. So I'm wondering if that's what Vince Russo's doing. He's just saying stupid off-the-wall stuff so that he stays in the Twitterverse, so that maybe people, I don't know, buy one of his books or listen to his podcast. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. And, you talk about that guy, suing Pro Wrestling 225 for an unsafe work environment. As CM Punk said years back, hell, this ain't ballet, okay? This is pro wrestling, all right? So if anybody who wants to, unless obviously, if I'm a cameraman or something let's put it this way, if you're on screen, like whether you're an announcer, whether you're a referee, whether you're a wrestler, whether you're a manager, you at some point in time are subject to take a bump. I mean, that's the way it is. And like I said, unless you are behind the camera, anybody behind the camera could have a legitimate argument because they're not on camera. They're not, trained to take bumps. And obviously, maybe some of these referees and stuff are not trained. But at the same time, it comes with the territory of being on camera, being in the element. Taking a bump is taking a bump.
Yeah. Cornette was talking about one of his first bumps the other day when he was a manager. And I can't remember who gave it to him. But he slung him so violently out of the ring, his face got caught on something, and it ripped his face open. Mm-hmm. Huge cut. I can't remember how many stitches he said it. And he went in the back room, and he was like cussing at the dude. I don't know how to take a bump. And the guy was just like, whatever, get out of here.
Yeah.
But I didn't mean to derail us. But in 2018, we will have Rhett the Threat on MarkOut Mania, and he is a co-promoter and wrestler in Pro Wrestling 225.
Awesome. That should be interesting.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Good job. So you got that one locked up? Or?
Yeah.
Hell yeah. You the man. All right, so we talked about Clash of Champions, what's next as far as the SmackDown brand goes. We kind of, talked about it just a little bit. Not really sure where who AJ Styles' next opponent's going to be. We don't know what's going to happen to Jinder. Is he going to go to the mid-card? What's going to happen with the U.S. title? We really don't know. And what's going to happen with Daniel Bryan, Shane McMahon? I mean, hey, time will tell. So that's really what's been happening on SmackDown. But now let's jump over to Raw. Some big things happening on Raw. Raw hasn't had a pay-per-view since Survivor Series, but the big story off of Monday Night Raw obviously was the announcement of the first ever all-women's Royal Rumble match. Now, we don't know much about other than the fact that it's going to be an all-women's Royal Rumble match. That is all we know. We don't know how many women are going to be in this match. We don't know who's coming out number one. We don't even know if there's going to be 30 women. We don't know who's going to win. But I tell you what, we can get into a little bit of a debate right now as far as how many people are going to be in it. Because I tell you what, if they do 30, because I think a lot of people think they're going to do 30 because they feel as if if they would do any other amount of women than 30, they would have specifically said it's going to be a 20-woman or a 15-woman Royal Rumble match. But if there's going to be 30 women in this Royal Rumble, you're obviously going to have to pull some women, maybe a Ronda Rousey, which, we'll talk about what we think if she's going to be in a Royal Rumble match or not. You got to pull some old, even Trish Stratus, teased on Twitter, said, "Where them boots at, man?"
God bless her.
Yeah, I tell you what, Trish, as far as I'm concerned, you can walk to the ring wearing only them boots, and I would be okay with that. But, if Trish comes back, maybe Lita's a big name that could come back. I'm trying to think of some others. Wouldn't mind seeing a Beth Phoenix. She just got inducted into the Hall of Fame last year, so a Beth Phoenix coming back. And obviously Beth Phoenix, one of the very few women who actually entered the men's Royal Rumble back in, I think, I don't remember what year it was. It was earlier this decade, but she entered it, and she actually, I remember, still one of my favorite Royal Rumble moments was when she kissed the Great Khali, which eventually led to his elimination. So Beth Phoenix, one of, I think, 3 women. The other 2 are Chyna and Karma were the only other 2 women that I can remember that ever entered the Royal Rumble. But now I'm really glad that there's going to be a women's Royal Rumble. What you think?
Yeah, definitely. I'm pretty excited about it. And I think a reason why it's going to be 30 is because if it's anything less, you set the tone of it being substandard. You set the tone for it being not as big as the men's Royal Rumble. Mm-hmm. So I think they'll do 30. And like you're saying, I think because obviously they use a lot of indie girls for the Mae Young Classic, so they'll probably bring some of those in. I know some of them they've used on NXT a few times and whatnot, so they still have relationships with them. Yeah,
because, it's at this time, I wish they wouldn't have released Emma. I don't know. I still don't remember why. Injuries, you think, is what caused that release?
And the fact that she totally pooped on their idea for Emelina.
Yeah, well, I think they made her look so strong when Asuka debuted on the main roster at TLC, and then the next night had a match. They made Emma look so strong. I mean, I legitimately think Emma could have made a strong run in this Royal Rumble match. So that's one less woman they're going to have. And who knows? I mean, hey, I'm not saying she's not going to be in it. Odds are, of course, I don't know. You think it would be sour grapes with that, but they could always bring her off for a one-off. Hey, look, just come in the women's Rumble match, do whatever, and go about your business. But
she's getting pretty booked up for 2018.
Yeah,
I mean, obviously she would throw off an indie booking to go to Royal Rumble, but yeah, man, she's a hot commodity.
And not only that, she's hot too. Not just a hot commodity, but she's hot. And also you got your NXT women like Ember Moon, Peyton Royce, and all of them. Mm-hmm. They can come up and obviously enter the Royal Rumble too. So it's going to be interesting to see how they do this Royal Rumble because, like I said, hey, look, the Royal Rumble is my favorite match of the year, and now I get the pleasure of getting 2 Royal Rumbles, and not just 2 Royal Rumbles, but my favorite match of the year, and it involves women. I mean, hey, I love women more than well, I say more. I mean, I love women just as much as the next straight guy. So, a women's Royal Rumble, I'm all about. So, looking forward to seeing how they're going to play this. And I mean, who do you think's going to win it though? If you had to say right now, who do you think's going to win it?
Man, golly.
The consensus right now, a lot of people are saying Asuka's going to win it.
Yeah, that's a good choice.
I would say Asuka, and I'm just trying to think. Maybe Nia Jax. I would prefer an Asuka over a Nia Jax. Maybe a Sasha Banks. In my opinion, that's who I think it could. Those 3 right now, in my opinion, are the front runners to win it. It's going to be a Raw woman, I think, that's going to win it though.
Yeah, I'd like to see Bayley win it.
I think Bayley. I don't know, man. The thing about Bayley is, I mean, don't get me wrong, I love me some Bayley, but I don't know, man. It seems like 1 minute they're so high on Bayley, and the next minute she's getting squashed, and then she, But of course, last year at WrestleMania, she did win the Raw Women's title at WrestleMania. Yeah. She retained it. Actually, she walked in and walked out of WrestleMania 33 as the Raw Women's champion. So,
when she comes out, man, that crowd pops just like it's Cena,
but that's the thing. Sometimes,
some big dude star.
But that's another thing that's inconsistent. It depends on where she goes. There's some nights she barely gets a reaction. Some nights the crowd's going nuts. I don't know. It's kind of like in a way Roman Reigns, because Roman Reigns sometimes he gets the pop and sometimes he doesn't. Like Cena, even nowadays, Cena, depending on where he goes, he'll get booed out of if he goes to like a Chicago or a big market, big wrestling town like that, he'll get booed out of the arena. But if he goes down to Lafayette, Louisiana, he's gonna get the biggest pop of the night. So it's interesting what they're doing with Bayley. But as far as I'm concerned, the 3 women I named, Asuka, Nia Jax, or Sasha Banks, I think one of those 3 women are probably going to win. In my opinion, they're going to win it.
Yeah, and then Nia Jax said a few weeks ago she was getting body shamed in the back. That's pretty crazy.
I mean, well, I don't think she's getting body shamed by Enzo Amore. So that's another interesting angle that they're doing over on Raw. But we'll discuss that whenever the time comes. If they, if things heat up a little bit more, we'll talk about that. But
right, our Facebook poll this week was about the Women's Royal Rumble. Mm-hmm. So we asked, will Ronda Rousey be in the all-female Royal Rumble match? I say
no, from the fact that, and I was on Twitter, and I follow Jimmy Corderas, a former WWE referee, and he made a good point. I don't know if it was necessarily a point, but he said basically what he said was, it's pointless to have her in the Royal Rumble if she's not going to win it. And I was like, I kind of agree with you. Like, you're going to have this, Ronda Rousey, who the one and only time she was on WWE TV, she handled Stephanie McMahon and Triple H. Like, they made her look real strong. Now, granted, at that time, as far as her UFC career goes, she was on top of the world. A lot has changed since the last time she was on WWE TV. So, I think they want to build her as maybe this unstoppable thing, sort of like an Asuka, but have her come into the Royal Rumble and not win it. I like the idea. I like that idea that Jimmy Corderas was saying on Twitter, that just be pointless to have her in the Royal Rumble if she's not going to win it. And I don't think she's going to win it. The first ever women's Royal Rumble, you have somebody from the outside come in and win it. That's a slap in the face to every woman who not only is in that locker room now, but has ever fought in that ring. So to have if Ronda Rousey wins that Royal Rumble, in my opinion, that would be a terrible move. As much as I love me some Ronda Rousey, and I can't wait for her to come to WWE and perform, having her win the first ever women's Royal Rumble, not the way to go.
Right. My vote was for yes. And I see what you're saying, but I think she comes out at 30, gets the huge pop, gets the huge suspense, walking up to the ring. All the girls are like, what? She starts cleaning house.
I'm going to be like that. What?
She starts cleaning house. Two left in the ring, Asuka and Ronda. And Asuka, you've booked her as invincible. So, obviously she wins, throws her over, and Asuka wins the whole thing. I think that's how you book it.
Yeah, and I mean, I could see that happening too, because, if you're going to have Ronda Rousey come in, you got to make her look strong. So make her come in, throw out a couple of, like an Alicia Fox or a Dana Brooke or maybe even a Mickie James or something like that.
Yeah.
But it's going to be interesting to see how they book this women's Royal Rumble, because it's never been done, and none of these women have ever been in that type of match. So it'll be interesting to see how these women execute this match. Because every year they've had a men's Royal Rumble. So, every year, of course, you have a couple of new Royal Rumble rookies, but for the most part, every year in the Rumble, you got the majority of people who have been in this type of match before. And because, let's face it, some of these women, they might be in the ring for 30, 40 minutes for all we know. And a lot of these women's matches, they don't go that long. So that's going to be another interesting thing. How well executed is this women's Royal Rumble match, considering none of these women have ever been in this type of match. But I'm really looking forward to it. It's really exciting. It's a really exciting thing. And I was really happy when they announced it. I was like, because I had been wanting it. I had been pushing for it. We've talked about it previously on episodes. And when Stephanie McMahon showed up on Raw, because it was about after 9 o'clock, they showed a limo pulling up. And I'm like, oh, great. Who's this? Like, this is somebody important. So I'm trying to figure out who it is. And then Stephanie walks out. I'm like, okay, what is Steph? She's the commissioner of Raw, so I wasn't surprised to see her there, but at the same time, I was like, well, what's up? So I'm on Reddit, obviously following along. Everybody started, she's announcing the Women's Rumble. She's announcing the Women's Rumble. And then, of course, when the main event was that 6-on-6, and everybody starts coming out and brawling, I said, oh, yeah, it's pretty much, it was unofficially official, and then she said it, and then it was official. So that was really cool that Stephanie came out and announced that we're going to have a Women's Royal Rumble. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, so looking at the results yesterday, well, actually, when I posted the poll, it was red hot for yes. And of course, again, our poll question was, will Ronda Rousey be in the first ever Women's Royal Rumble? So I think yesterday when I looked at it, it was like 87% yes. Fast forward to right now, checking the results, it's deadlocked, 50-50.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, didn't you say that a couple comments on it?
Yeah, definitely want to shout out Brink. He said, I think having Rousey in it would be good for business. However, she should not win, even come close to winning it.
Yeah, I agree with Brink as far as her not winning it. But I don't know. I just don't think they're going to pull the trigger on her at the Royal Rumble because as far as I know, she still hasn't signed a contract. Mm-hmm. And I think if she signs a contract, we're going to know about it. And still, so far, she has not signed a contract. So, and it's not just that. I think if she doesn't win it, what's the point of really having her in there when you have all these other young girls from NXT coming up and you can get some of that indie talent in there? Because, and it goes back to what I was saying about, the women not being in this type of match. Do you really want a Ronda Rousey who may not be fully trained by that time to be in this type of match and possibly screws have a botch or something? I don't know. So we'll see what happens.
And that goes along with Scott Duplichan's comment. I voted yes because she should be in it. What a way to make a debut. But if she's not ready, they shouldn't force it.
No, you can't force it because this is a girl that you don't, whenever she makes her debut, you don't need to have her come out, introduce herself. Everyone knows who she is. Everyone knows where she's been. She's been on WWE television before at a WrestleMania on the biggest stage in WWE, I might add you. So everybody knows who she is, and she can come out at any given time and just, it doesn't have to be in the Royal Rumble. As far as I'm concerned, I don't know when she's going to make her appearance, but I do expect her to be, and I got a little more on this when we get to the rumor mill, because there was supposedly a match that was going to happen involving Ronda Rousey that apparently is not going to happen anymore. So we'll talk about that in the rumor mill. But the Women's Royal Rumble, and we've been talking about it. It's a big story, but I just don't. I don't know. Right now, my gut's telling me. Based on what Jimmy Cordero said, I kind of he said that. I was reading his tweets and I was like, I agree with Jimmy Cordero because always I like his takes. He has a lot of good takes on Twitter. Yeah. So I just right then and there I said, you know what? I don't think she's going to be in it.
When you said something about Ronda Rousey, it made me think of Scott Hall when you were like everybody knows him, and when he went to WCW as an outsider, he was always like, you know who I am,
but you don't know why I'm here. Well, Ronda Rousey, we know who you are, and when you show up, we're gonna know why you're here because maybe she's here to obviously be a wrestler and compete and win a women's championship. Granted, as far as who she's going to face first, that remains to be seen. So the Women's Royal Rumble match, I think we've covered it enough. Unless you have some more thoughts on it. Yeah, but obviously this is something we're going to talk about in the weeks to come. Big time news there. Some other big time news. This one less fortunate though. What happened on Raw? Dean Ambrose. He had a successful surgery. Actually, he hurt something in his bicep tendon or something. Kind of partially tore it, and he may miss WrestleMania. Right now, his return table is not. They're not really sure what it is. I think. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know. Nobody knows, but he had successful surgery yesterday, I think. So he's going to start rehab and everything like that. Whether or not he's back for WrestleMania, we don't know. I think the consensus right now is that he's not going to be back for WrestleMania. And so what does that mean for the Shield, man? The Shield can't catch a damn break, man.
Yeah,
it's like Roman got, that virus thing when they were getting ready to have their first match back. Now, Dean is hurt, and
it's about time for Seth to tear another knee.
Yeah, don't say that. Please don't say. Oh man, and then,
sorry.
And then Roman wasn't even on Raw last week. I don't think he's hurt or anything. I think he just took some time off. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do with the Shield. I think now the Shield might be kind of on the back burner in a way. So they're going to maybe try and have Rollins and Reigns kind of go their separate ways because obviously I think the feud. I think the feud that's going to happen is going to be Reigns versus Lesnar heading into WrestleMania, so they're going to do their thing. And then, of course, I was going to talk about this in the rumor mill, but I think the rumor was that Seth and Dean were going to fight each other at WrestleMania. So
don't break up the Shield again.
That's what I'm saying. And I was going to say, this injury to Dean...
I need to throw something.
Look, you might like what I have to say here. this injury to Dean may be a blessing in disguise, because now if they don't wrestle, maybe they just keep them together. Reigns beats Lesnar at WrestleMania. Rollins beats whoever, whatever happens to Rollins. After WrestleMania, Dean comes back, and then they make a run over the summer as the Shield again. I think that would be the way to go, in my opinion. So I think that's what could happen.
Yeah, and the little fantasy booking here, like I was telling you earlier. So now the WWE announced that they are booking Jason Jordan with Seth Rollins now. He's going to fill in for Dean when they do tag stuff, because they're trying to push Jason Jordan at all cost. Probably the angle is going to be he's going to mess up a match somehow. They're going to start a feud, right? And then he's probably going to take Dean Ambrose's spot in the match that you were talking about, where he'll fight Seth at that pay-per-view. Yeah,
so unfortunate that Dean got hurt, but it's a part of wrestling, and it is what it is. So we'll see how they book Seth and Roman going forward. I think we all know how Roman's going to get booked, but Seth a little more the question mark at this point. But what we do know is how the Universal title is being booked at the Royal Rumble. It's going to be a triple threat match, and holy smokes, you better reinforce that damn ring, because you're going to have Brock Lesnar defending the Universal Championship against Braun Strowman and Kane.
Yeah.
I mean, now look, somebody said this the other day. If you would have told me Kane was going to be in a main event match in 2018 wrestling for a championship, I'd have called you crazy. But and this goes back to what Brink said a couple of weeks ago that I think I reiterated on, or might have been last week or 2 weeks ago. I think Kane's there just to take the pinfall from Brock Lesnar, so that way you don't have Strowman get pinned. You still have Brock, the champion, heading on into WrestleMania, where we expect him to face Roman Reigns. So that's going to be interesting. So that was officially announced this past Monday night on Raw. So
you had to have another monster in there. It couldn't be somebody like Finn or somebody that would just get absolutely destroyed by these dudes.
Yeah.
But at the same time, this match can be clunky, I think, because you have an aging Kane. You have a Braun who's kind of slow. I mean, obviously, Brock's an apex athlete, so I think it's going to be a bad match, to be honest with you.
I tell you what, though, a lot of people might have think, Kane has run his course, and in a way, I think it has, but kudos to Kane, man. He's been doing this for 20 years, at least in WWE. He's never, and granted, he took time off to, do his mayor thing, and I don't think he won, but
no.
But now, 20 years later, he's still out here wrestling a full-time schedule, so props to Kane, man. He's a workhorse, so I think, honestly, from that perspective, I think it's going to be a pretty good match, because I think Kane is the veteran, obviously the bigger veteran of the three. Brock Lesnar is somewhat of a veteran, but Kane has had way more matches. I think Kane, as a matter of fact, as far as pay-per-view matches, he's up there like all time. He's probably in the top 5 all-time pay-per-view matches, if I had to, top 10 at least, without a question.
Yeah.
So having Kane in that match, I think, will help, in my opinion. I think it's going to be a pretty good match. I mean, those are 3 guys. And Braun, man, everybody loves Braun, man. That's the one thing that WWE has done just 100% completely right, is Braun Strowman. And unfortunately, I don't think he's going to win the Universal Championship. In my opinion, I don't think he's quite ready for the Universal Championship, but he will be Universal Champion by the end of 2018. I will bet the house on that right now. So,
do your roommates know?
My roommates?
Yeah, that you're betting the house.
Oh, no. I guess I should. I feel pretty safe keeping the house if I'm going to bet on Braun Strowman winning the Universal or even the WWE, even winning a major championship. And by major, I mean either Universal or WWE Championship. I don't consider the Intercontinental US a major championship, but it's the mid-card championship, in my opinion. So, but I think Braun will win a major championship by the end of the year. So,
gotcha.
All right, so is it time for your segment?
Yes.
Are they worth it? You have your list right there?
Got my list.
All right, awesome. So explain to everybody what this segment is.
Yeah, so what I'm going to do is I have a list here, the 2017 WWE salaries, and we're going to go down the list, and I'm going to name a superstar, what they make, and then what their bonuses are, So
what's a bonus? I don't know nothing about no bonus.
Exactly.
I ain't never got one of those in my life.
So just keep in mind that these bonuses will be tacked on to the figure that I give you. So they have more earning potential than what the salary is.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, do this. Say the person.
Yes.
And then I'm going to think of a number in my head real quick.
Gotcha.
And then you tell me, and then I'll base what I think they make versus what you tell me that they make.
Gotcha. So let's find out if they're worth it.
All right. Who's the first?
Braun Strowman.
Braun Strowman. I'll tell you what. I have a feeling about what he makes, and I could tell you he's well more worth than what he's probably making. Let me think of a number real quick of what he should be making based on what he did. All right, go ahead and give me the number of what he's making.
Oh, and the source is Sportskeeda, by the way. Okay. So Braun Strowman, his salary is $350,000.
Way more worth. He's worth way more than that. I would say he should be making at least $500,000 a year.
Agreed.
At least $500,000.
Yeah, agreed. Bray Wyatt.
Bray Wyatt. You know, based on what I'm basing this on what they did this year. I got a number for Bray Wyatt. If it's more than Braun Strowman, he ain't worth it.
All right. So his bonuses include travel and accommodation. So he doesn't have to pay for travel or hotels or
so
anything
you telling
like
me
that.
Braun has to pay for? I guess Braun has to pay.
Yeah.
Already, I could probably tell you it's not worth it.
Bray Wyatt makes $470,000 a year.
Well, see, because I think Braun should make $500,000.
Mm-hmm.
Bray Wyatt, I think he's not quite worth it. I think he's probably. It's not much. You know, he's a good wrestler and he has a good gimmick. But I think that's a little high. Not too high, but a little high, in my opinion.
But they're playing his gimmick all wrong.
Yeah.
He has to have a stable. He has to have minions.
Yeah.
Well, if you're
I think he's about what Braun makes right now. That's what I think Bray should be making.
Yeah. And going back to Bray Wyatt, if you're just going to repackage Harper and what's his face? What's the other guy's name?
Eric Rowan.
Yeah.
Well, that Eric Rowan, Eric Rowan is like Brinkman would say Carmella. When he comes out, zero reaction from the crowd, and that is the worst thing as a wrestler that you can have happen. As a wrestler, you would rather have them boo you out of the arena than come out and hear crickets.
Yeah, I don't understand why they couldn't be in the Wyatt family still. I mean, you packaging them together anyway.
Yeah, and they're
still a team.
They're all on SmackDown, so I mean, I don't know. I can't figure that one out.
All right, Dolph Ziggler.
All right, Dolph Ziggler.
Off.
Okay, Dolph Ziggler. See, Dolph Ziggler's a little different for me because one, Dolph, one of the best sellers in the game.
Mm-hmm.
He has a longevity. He's been in WWE for over 10 years now, back to his Spirit Squad days. But now based on what he did this year, I'm trying to think of a number. Go ahead and tell me what the number is.
All right, so his bonuses, we're talking about Dolph Ziggler, he gets a percentage on merchandise.
Okay. Well, that's rightfully so because he sells a good chunk of merchandise.
And he gets his travel and accommodation paid for.
Okay.
So his base salary is $900,000.
$900,000?
Yeah.
Whoo, man, that's a little steep, I think. I don't think he's worried. I think he's about I would give him, based on the merchandise that he can sell and his ability in the ring and his longevity in the WWE, I would say he's more of about I'd give him about $700,000, $750,000. I think he's maybe at most. That's what I would give him at most.
Okay, gotcha. We're playing Are You Worth It? Where Patrick tells us if these superstars are worth what they're making. Nikki Bella's boo.
John Cena?
Yes.
Oh, I know his salary is way up there, and I can tell you right now, just for the fact, like I said, what he did this year, that first of all, that WrestleMania match that they had, that was stupid, in my opinion. That had the possibility of being a great match, and it was a squash match, so Cena could propose to Nikki, and based on what he had some good matches this year. Royal Rumble against AJ Styles, a tremendous match. So, but go ahead and tell me. It's seven figures easily.
So he gets a percentage of merchandise, a percentage of pay-per-view. He gets his travel and accommodations paid for. Mm-hmm. He also gets use of a private jet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, figured that.
So his base salary.
So his base salary does not include everything you just mentioned?
No.
Okay.
His base salary is $5 million.
That's way too much, in my opinion.
The face of the company?
way too much.
Yeah.
$5 million a year, not including everything you just mentioned.
And it says with all that included, it can go above $9 million.
I'm sorry, that's way. Now, look, 5 to 10 years ago, yes, I would. But now he's starting to. While he's still the face of the company and arguably the most recognizable face in all of wrestling. You know, that for what he does now, for what he did in 2017, that's way too much in my opinion.
Well, this may be an old contract because another site that I was looking on, they have superstars that sign 10-year deals, 5-year deals. Yeah. So it may be an old contract.
Based on what he did this year, I'd give him about, I'd say $2 million.
Yeah.
About a $2 million salary. That's what I'd give him.
Gotcha. All right.
Because I know he ain't struggling making all these movies either.
No.
So,
Zack Ryder.
Now, Zack Ryder, now I know his number ain't that high, but the thing about Zack Ryder is, I don't know. I mean, I like Zack Ryder, don't get me wrong, the Long Island broski, but he, and he's great. And he, honestly, in my opinion, he can connect with the fans. And he used social media back in the day to really connect with the fans, and there was a time where he was really hot, but I don't know, I think he's kind of fading away too. So what does he make?
Yeah, so his bonus is he gets a percentage off merch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he sells some merchandise too.
Mm-hmm. $350,000.
I would say, yeah. I'd maybe a tad bit high, but that's a good number for Zack Ryder. I think that's good. Yeah, I agree. That's worth it.
So we're playing Are You Worth It? Where Patrick tells us, are they worth it? Mm-hmm. Now let's move on to the female superstars.
Yeah.
Alicia Fox.
Go ahead and just tell me what it is.
$85,000.
That's she's worth it.
Yeah.
She's the one that has longevity, and while she's not bad. A lot of people give her crap. I don't know if you're a big fan of her, but as far as her gimmick goes, I like her gimmick. She's a decent wrestler. She's not a great wrestler, but she's a decent wrestler. And for her experience in the ring and her gimmick, $85,000. I would have said if it was over $100,000, it's not worth it. But $85,000, that's fine.
I say you take that $85,000, you give it to Peyton Royce, and we'd be done with it. Alicia can go make some money on the indies. Charlotte Flair.
Ooh, this is an interesting one. You got the heritage of being a Flair, and she's a great wrestler. Maybe arguably the best one that they have as far as the women. Okay, I think I got, based on what you just told me for Alicia Fox, I got a number in my head that I would give Charlotte. What is it?
$290,000.
That's definitely worth it. Yeah. I would have said about $175K.
Yeah. But, so you were going under that.
I think she should make at least $175K. So I was thinking, I said at least $175K is what she should be making. So yeah, that's I think that's worth it.
All right. And Sasha Banks.
Now she's one. Now, do these girls get merchandise percentages or anything? Because I know Sasha probably sells some merchandise.
None of them so far.
Okay, Sasha shouldn't make as much as Charlotte. So, okay, I got a number for Sasha. Give it to me.
$225,000. That's
worth it. Yeah, I'd say I would have gave her at least $200,000.
Yeah.
So,
legit boss. Mm-hmm. Stephanie McMahon.
Is it worth it? No, because she don't even wrestle, and then when she does, it's terrible. And then when she talks, it's terrible. But she's a principal owner. Well, I mean, it's her voice, not what she can. I mean, granted, she can cut a promo. Just listening to her voice, like if she changed her, use that salary she probably making to change your voice or something. Jesus Christ!
Yeah, stop trying to talk like your dad.
She's definitely making 7 figures. She's a principal owner of the company.
Yeah.
Yeah, tell me what she's making.
All right, so in her bonuses, she gets private jet use.
Of course.
Her travel and accommodations are paid for.
Of course.
$1.7 million.
Yeah, that's worth it.
Yeah.
I'd have said, that's worth it. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. She's a great, as far as, being an owner and, I guess marketing, especially the women's division. She's done such a good job of really kind of revamping this women's division. So definitely $1.7 million is worth it in my opinion. And she's the kind of girl, I'm giving her crap for her in-ring abilities and, the way she talks, but, she's always, and I've listened to some interviews with her ever since day one. This is what she wanted to do. She wanted to be in the wrestling business like her dad. And growing, and since she can remember, I think she was like 13 or 14 years old, she's answering the phones as a receptionist at WWE headquarters, and then like in I think late 98, early 99, she finally starts making appearances on TV, and then she became the women's champion, which that was an iffy decision there. But of course, I think all the McMahons except Linda has won a title at one time or another, and then she's wrestled here and there, and she was general manager of SmackDown, general manager of Raw, and then she's the commissioner of Raw, and now she's a principal owner. So, and she's played most of her career as the evil Stephanie. Yeah. So, and she's done a good job of that. So, $1.7 million, I would say, is more than worth it. I honestly, I'd bump it up a little bit because she's a great spokeswoman too for the company as well.
Yeah. Now, speaking of 13 answering phones at WWE headquarters, do you think, like the rumors say, she had a little rendezvous in a back room with a Macho Man Randy Savage?
Now, that I honestly don't know nothing about that. I do know that the only thing really as far as Stephanie's love life goes, I mean, she was dating Test back in the late 90s, and then she went on to Triple H, and that was kind of a crazy situation there. I remember she had an interview on Howard Stern years ago that I listened to, and she talked about that a little bit. But they never mentioned anything about Randy Savage, and I don't know how old she was back when Savage was there. Well, wait, hold on, at 13. If Savage was, he took the term Savage to another level. If that's the case,
the rumor is 15.
Still
was the age. Well, I know. I'm just saying.
That is Savage, Randy Savage. But I don't know. I find that hard to believe. Yeah, but I don't know. Too. Randy Savage, he's a crazy dude. So, if I had to guess, I would say that's just it's rumors is what it is.
Oh man, I was listening to a great story the other day from Marty Jannetty talking about how him and Sean got in a shoot fight in a hotel, and then Randy Savage actually saved them from going to jail.
I think actually I did hear that.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I like listening to a lot of those shoot interviews on the internet and stuff like that. But as far as Stephanie McMahon and Randy Savage, I've heard the rumor before. I just don't think it's true.
Yeah. So that was that was Are They Worth It? And of course, we got some more names to go over in podcasts in the future. I think that was pretty fun.
I have a feeling a lot of people are probably just like, "Oh, you're stupid. You don't know what you're talking about." Well, I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just guessing. It's my opinion. I do have an MBA, so I guess I learned a lot about finance and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, I guess based on what I see, I would tell you what I'd pay them. Basically,
stick that pipe and you smoke it.
That's right.
All right, what we got next?
We got the rumor mill next.
Yes,
big rumor mill. It's one of my favorite segment every week.
Heck yeah. You got some juicy ones. Let's go over yours first.
I want to go over first the rumor that the XFL is coming back.
Oh my God, yes.
So basically what happened was Vince is starting this thing called Alpha Entertainment, which is a separate entity from WWE, and the rumor, this is the rumor mill, is that he's going to start the XFL up again. Now, I think honestly, this is a good time to start up the XFL. The NFL's getting real soft, and a lot of people use the term NFL, the acronym, and say it's the no fun league now because it's just not fun.
Well, they brought back some celebrations.
Oh, they did?
Yeah, they can celebrate now.
Well, thank goodness. That's the least they could have done.
As long as it's a team celebration. They've done peekaboo, sack races. It's been crazy.
Well, that's the least they could have done. But you know what? Because in my opinion, as long as you're not taunting your opponent, you should be able to celebrate however the hell you want. So I don't
Tell
care.
us how you really feel.
I don't care if you jump into the crowd and start making out with a girl.
Yeah.
As long as you're not taunting your opponent, like going up in there, getting in their face, or I would not care. If I was an official, unless you're taunting your opponent, I don't give a damn how you celebrate. You do a hacky, the potato sack race, whatever they do or whatever. So the XFL coming back, I think it's a good time for it.
Yes.
The only question I have is I'm assuming Vince is going to run this again. Can he pay these players close to, if not, the same that the NFL pays their players? Because obviously at the end of the day, if these players are going to go from a sport where they're trying to, safety is the number one thing nowadays, to go into the XFL where obviously they're not going to give two to whatever, I keep wanting to curse, but I'm trying not to. But they don't care about safety. I mean, this is hard-nosed contact, not even contact, collision football where there's no coin toss. And granted, that's another thing too. Why I think it's a good time to bring it back, because obviously, Vince can look back at what he did the first time and say, okay, this worked, this didn't work, we need to get rid of this. This worked, but we can fix this. And so you can kind of look at the blueprint that you had and maybe make some adjustments, because I was, there was no fair catches on kickoffs. You couldn't kneel in the end zone. You had to run that thing out unless it got kicked out of off the field of play. So
there's no coin toss.
There's no, you had, basically they threw the ball up they had the balls on the ground. People. I mean, the very first XFL game, they did that. A player got hurt on that.
Out for the season.
Yeah.
Dislocated his shoulder.
So, I mean, now as a player, when you're going from the NFL where the safety is the number one priority to the XFL where it's not a priority, you're going to want to get paid, and you're going to want some insurance. You're going to want to make sure you're good to go. And now, obviously, I think it should be like a no-holds-barred league. Like, obviously, if somebody's trying to intentionally hurt somebody, that should not be allowed. But if it's even close to a clean, hard football hit, they're going to let it go. So
and I think with the XFL, one thing that I think they're going to tweak is the fact of, like, the last league was considered back to real football, blood and guts. I don't think it's going to be like that this time. I think it's going to be more along the lines of NFL-type football, because Vince knows all about these concussion protocols. He knows about the concussion suits.
And that's the last thing that they want to deal with. So they're going to because back in 2001, 2002, when they had the league,
didn't have it.
They didn't care about concussions and all that. Nowadays, you got, obviously with the lawsuit of the, all the concussion lawsuits and all that stuff, and not, that's why they don't let Daniel Bryan wrestle, because he's had too many concussions. So they're going to be much more careful as far as the concussions go and stuff like that. I think they can obviously, they can make it better, and I look forward to seeing what they do with it. They're expecting them to make this announcement on January 25th, which is 3 days before the Royal Rumble. And I think I read earlier today that the XFL has actually been trademarked.
Yeah.
So that right there kind of tells you it could be coming back. So we don't know for sure, but right now they think January 25th is when the announcement could be made. So the XFL, of course, coming back possibly.
Yeah, and they came up with tons of innovations like the Sky Cam that the NFL uses now, and other leagues like the CFL. I love that cam. I can't wait to see helmet cam back. Love me some helmet cam. The one cool thing they had a guy on the field with a steady cam. So he was always right up in the action. He'd be in the huddle sometimes. He'd be running after a guy while he's running the ball. He had pads on.
I wouldn't. Oh, yeah, that's true.
He had pads and a helmet on.
I wouldn't want that, man. I'd be like, hell, y'all better give me a raise if I'm going to be on the field with all these athletes knocking each other out. I wonder, I don't know if they ever actually had a camera shot where the cameraman got, like, knocked down.
I would imagine.
That's crazy.
Another thing is he's got to reevaluate the cities that he went to last time. Obviously, you're going to want to go back to Las Vegas, and you're going to go back to Orlando. Those two places were always packed. The other cities, not so much. Birmingham was pretty good, too.
Come to Lake Charles, baby.
Exactly. No, Lake Charles wouldn't support that. What are you thinking? No. So he's got to reevaluate that. Obviously, it's not going to be as scantily as last time with, doing crotch shots with the cheerleaders and going into their locker room in the halftime. But, man, having a sideline reporter going up to a coach after he made a terrible call and go, why'd you call that play, coach?
Yeah.
and different stuff like that. It was absolutely amazing of the access they gave it. You heard every single play that was being called. Everybody was mic'd. They went into the locker room and showed you the coaches coaching the guys. It was absolutely amazing. And I was giddy like a little schoolgirl when I heard that. And I'm kind of sad to see that he's making his own entertainment company. I get he doesn't want to put WWE under that strain anymore because it was a bad decision.
But now you say, I don't want to cut you off, but they're not going to have like the crotch shots and anything anymore. And since this is not a WWE product anymore, this could, there could be no limits to what they do here. So if it's a complete, because I think the first time it was obviously under WWE, so this time it's a separate entity. So therefore, we don't know what's going to happen.
Exactly.
You
never know what's going to come out of Vince's head.
Yeah, because now that Vince is going to have a new product that is technically doesn't have to be PG, who knows?
So we know that NBC's not going to touch it because NBC lost their head over this. I was thinking the perfect marriage would be WWE Network.
Well, see, that's the thing now. I mean, that would be the cool thing to do, I think, and certainly. The only bad thing about that is if they put that on the WWE Network, do they raise the price of the network to help fund this thing? I don't know. Maybe, with Alpha Entertainment, he maybe makes an XFL network.
Right.
Because obviously we've seen the success of the WWE Network. It's an award-winning thing, and, he has the blueprint for it. He can make a blueprint for like an XFL network where... I mean, I don't know exactly what they would put on an XFL network.
Well, I mean, they could put reality shows about all the teams and kind of like a Hard Knocks and all
play
that
replays
stuff.
of all the old games and all that stuff.
Oh, my God, yes. I got those on VHS. But another thing that Vince has to look at is he going to play fall ball or spring ball? Now,
I hope it's spring ball.
Yeah, the last time they played spring, their game was right after the Super Bowl. And that's perfect.
That is absolutely perfect. Especially nowadays because... I mean, of course, back then, it was the off-season of football, and big football fans want something to watch. The only thing is they need to get some big names playing that, like, hey, look, as far as I'm concerned, go after a Tim Tebow, go after a Johnny Manziel, go after some big-name guys that just can't seem to make it in the NFL. So what if they go, that's going to draw some people. And, there's some good ball players. I'm not going to lie to you. Tim Tebow was not a bad ball player. He wasn't the best thrower, but he's a good ball player. Johnny Manziel, a good ball player, but he just couldn't get his alcohol. He couldn't handle his alcohol. And then, when they made the 30 for 30 by the XFL, I think a lot of people, probably that didn't really pay that much attention to it the first time, watched that documentary. Got the feel for it. I was like, man, and I'm sure the way they presented it, it's like, man, that'd be so cool if they could bring that back, and now the possibility is there. I mean, it's not an official thing. Obviously, it's just a rumor, but who knows? So
what cable channels do you think fit good with this? Maybe USA, since they already have a WWE relationship, Spike?
That's how I would have said a Spike TV, maybe a Spike TV. Honestly, that's the only real thing I can think of. Maybe no TNT. No, that wouldn't work. Turner wouldn't. Yeah, McMahon already bought WCW from his ass, so I don't know. As far as the channel it would go on, that's going to be the real. It would
need to be a channel with reach. It can't be like pop.
Yeah, it can't.
You know what I mean?
Maybe an MTV, a VH1, something like that.
MTV would be interesting.
You were talking about the cities. You know what I think? Some good. Well, I don't know. Some good cities to have, and I think it'd be some college towns.
Yes,
some college towns. I think a lot of college kids would. Fly like a Austin, Texas.
Yes, that was the first. That's the first one that came to my mind.
Like a Austin, Texas. Like I don't know. I'm trying to think of some big time college towns, like a Columbus, Ohio. Well, I don't know Columbus, but Austin has obviously the capital of Texas. The bigger college towns, I guess you could say, would be the towns.
Gainesville.
Gainesville would be certainly a lot of teams a lot of places in the South. Like maybe I don't know. I'm trying to think of. Maybe even a Baton Rouge. I don't know. A Baton Rouge wouldn't be too bad because Baton Rouge is the capital here, Louisiana. Austin, the capital of Texas. A lot of people in the town, a lot of college kids. That's where they need to go. And like maybe a Tempe, Arizona, or something like that. And they don't even have to be like the Tempe, whatever. It could be the Arizona, the Texas, whatever, and stuff like that. So. Yeah, I think college towns would be a good way to go.
He can't compete directly with the NFL. There's no way.
That's why you got to do it in the spring.
The NFL already have the best players sewed up, right? Mm-hmm. They can't break the contracts. The CFL have the next level of best players sewed up. So you got to be a developmental league. Mm-hmm. All these other leagues like the UFL, the XFL the first time, the All-American League, all these leagues where they've messed up, Roger Goodell is all about the money. Sit down with this dude, have the owners pitch in and be... 50-50 owners with the teams. I don't know if the XFL is going to own the teams or if they're actually going to have owners, but have the owners in the league be 50-50 in a team, and that is their AAA. Mm-hmm. That's their developmental team.
Yeah.
So in the offseason, obviously, your third teamers don't get much playing time. You send them down. If you got a second teamer that's on the fence, whether you want to keep him or not, you don't know what he's got, send him down.
Yeah. I don't know. I just don't see a scenario where the NFL would work with the XFL. As far as a working relationship, I personally just can't see it. I don't know. Especially now, they're focusing on safety and all that stuff. I don't think they're going to want to send any of their players to a league where it's going to be practically no holds barred. So
yeah,
that's just my opinion. So that's what that's pretty much the XFL. We spent a lot of time on that too. So I'm looking at the timer here, man. We're spending a lot of time here. So
let's go ahead and cut out Cheap Heat.
Okay,
because you got some good rumor mill stuff, and I do too.
Well, I had some decent Cheap Heat stuff, but the stuff from Cheap Heat can be talked about next week.
Yeah.
So on our year in review. As far as the rumor mill, the other thing, not so much, not as big as the XFL, but apparently there was a WrestleMania match that was going to be booked. Now it doesn't seem like it's going to be booked. Apparently they were going to do the 4 horsewomen from WWE against Ronda Rousey and her 3 gals with her, but apparently now that match is going to be scrapped to where at least Ronda Rousey could still be involved, but her other 3 girls that are with her will not be involved. That's pretty much what I got.
Well, that's not exciting. Well, what's the reasoning behind that?
Honestly, I'm not sure. I read the... I don't know if they're going to... All those women are going to be ready at that time. Because I think... this is what it was. Apparently, a couple of other girls that were in that 4 horsewomen with Ronda Rousey, they were training wrestling-wise up until recently. They stopped training for wrestling. So I think that they started training maybe for MMA or something. I don't know. They were training for something else, basically non-pro wrestling wise. Yeah. And I think that's why they decided we're just going to scrap the match. So
well, that's not cool. I was looking forward to that.
Yeah, but as long as Rousey comes in, I'm okay. So
right. So another big rumor out there is that WWE is fixing to make some huge signings from the indies. Number one name out there is Ricochet. Also Prince Puma and what's the name of that promotion? Lucha Underground.
Yep.
Ricochet is absolutely amazing. Great look. Really cool tattoo. His mic work needs work. But in NXT, you said they have acting coaches. So I think that's going to be perfect for him. Once he gets his mic game on, when this dude hits the main roster, the sky's the limit because this guy is absolutely fire in the ring. Have you seen some of his stuff?
I have not.
Oh, my God. The matches,
I've heard all about him, but
the matches that he would put on with Johnny, well, whatever you want to call him, Johnny Nitro, Johnny Mundo.
Johnny Nitro, baby.
Were absolutely amazing. This guy is the real deal, and he's going to be a champ for a long time, maybe in the face of the company.
Yep.
And I know you know these guys because you've been following New Japan, War Machine.
Yep.
So I can't wait to see a match between War Machine and the Authors of Pain. That is going to actually bring the house down.
Oh, yeah.
2 huge signings. PW Insiders reporting that they could start in early 2018.
Oh, yeah, all those signings. Yeah, they were talking about January possibly. So we may see them maybe show up at the Royal Rumble in some form capacity. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Maybe they show up before that. I don't know. Maybe they could enter the Royal Rumble. Who knows?
Yeah.
I mean... that's the thing. We're getting to that time of the year. At the beginning of the year, be a lot of fun stuff happening as far as leading up to the Royal Rumble. So, you got anything else in rumor mill?
No, that's it.
That's it. All right. Well, I guess we can just finish up now. If we're going to knock out Cheap Heat, because the stuff I was going to talk about can easily be talked about next week. So we'll dive into my Cheap Heat stuff for next week. But the final thing we're going to talk about is the Wrestle Kingdom final card and the match order. Let me pull that up because Brink actually sent me the link here. If I can pull it up real quick. Let's see. Here we go.
We're going to have our Wrestle Kingdom 12 show to preview that whole event on January 2nd.
Absolutely.
And Brink will be in the studio with us to lay it down.
Absolutely. So the opening match is going to be a New Japan Rumble is what that's going to be. So I don't really know. All it says is a New Japan Rumble. I don't know who's in it. I don't know what the format's going to be.
Yeah.
But I guess like a Royal Rumble.
Obviously, they're going to rumble.
The first match, 60-minute time limit. The IWGP Junior Tag Team Championship will be Matt and Nick Jackson, the Young Bucks, taking on Yo and Show there. That is, I wonder if that's Roppongi 3K. I think that's who that is. They don't say the tag team names. I forget what they are sometimes. The second match will be the Never Openweight 6-man tag team gauntlet championship. Let's see. The champions, Tamatonga, Tongaloa, and Bad Luck. Hold on. I can't remember if it's Fale or... Yeah, it's Fale. Yeah, Bad Luck Fale. They're taking on the team of Taguchi, Juice Robinson, and Togi Makabe. I think that's how you say that. I hate reading cards from New Japan because all I do is butcher these names. Let's see what we have here. Okay, well, we got some more challenger teams here also. Beretta, Yano, and Ishii, and then also another... the way they have it on the New Japan website is really weird. Another challenger team, Hansen, Raymond Rowe, Michael Elgin, and then I guess the other team is Taichi, Izuka, something like that, and Zack Sabre Jr. So,
yeah.
And let's see, a special singles match. Of course, Cody Rhodes was going to defend. Sorry, not Cody Rhodes. Cody.
We don't want any trouble from WWE.
That poor man doesn't have a last name. He lost the Ring of Honor World Championship the other night, so he was going to defend it against Ibushi, but now it is just a special singles match. That'll be the third match, Ibushi versus Cody. The fourth match will be for the IWGP Tag Team Championships. Davey Boy Smith Jr. and Lance Archer will be defending against Sonata and Evil. And the fifth match, the Never Openweight Championship, hair versus hair. It'll be Suzuki versus Goto. The sixth match will be the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship. Marty Scurll this is a fatal four-way. I'm sorry. Marty Scurll will be defending against Will Ospreay, Kushida, and Takahashi. The seventh match will be for the IWGP Intercontinental Championship. Tanahashi will be defending against Jay White, who, of course, we found out was Sling Blade. Yeah. And the eighth match, the IWGP U.S. Heavyweight Championship, the one I'm personally looking most forward to, Kenny Omega taking on Chris Jericho. Then, of course, the main event, and this has the potential to be the match of the year in all of wrestling, the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. Okada taking on Naito. So there's 9 matches, and I heard they might be adding one more. And Brent was actually texting me a while ago during the recording process. He was telling me him and some of his buddies, they're all off that night, and the New Japan show starts at 2 a.m. local time here in Louisiana. They're going to be watching it live. And he's like, if you want to come, he said, if you want to come over, you can watch it. And I was like, dude. Wow. I said, oof, I'm going to need a lot of coffee. And who knows, I may end up doing that, but the bad thing is I have work the next day at 8 a.m., so I don't know. That'll be interesting.
That's Bad News Bears right there.
I'm going to think about that. It actually sounds like a fun... They said they're cooking breakfast and everything and all that stuff, so I'm certainly debating it because I think it would be pretty cool to stay up like that and watch it live.
It's the 12th. You're going to accrue some PTO, right? By then...
well, no, it's January 4th.
Oh, it is the 4th. Yeah, PTO.
No, there will be no PTO for me, so I may just have to suck it up. And the good thing is, though, that's the first Friday of the year for me in the traffic office, so it might be a light day. So unless I talk to B-Rad and say, hey, look, because I remember I took off a couple of weeks ago, and I had to come in. I'm going to say, hey, look, man, can I come in like 10 a.m. or something like that? Yeah. The bad thing is this show's going to last about 4 hours. Dang. So it's going to start at 2. It's going to end at 6 a.m. probably, our local time.
Yeah, and you'll be watching it in Eunice, right?
Basile.
Oh, Basile.
Close enough to Eunice. So, Brink, I know you're going to be listening to this at some point. I'll think about it, and I'll probably text him a little bit and tell him I'll think about it, and we'll see what happens. So that's going down, of course, January 4th. January 2nd, it will be our official Wrestle Kingdom preview show where we will have Jonathan Brinkman live in the studio.
Right, and I don't know why Ospreay and Sabre Jr. aren't in NXT. That befuddles me. I mean, these guys are absolutely amazing. But, hey, at least they're in a big promotion like New Japan. Yeah, New Japan, in my opinion, the biggest promotion in the world outside of WWE, as far as I'm concerned. Right. Man, great show, Patrick. Hell yeah, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. Yeah, we got into some big discussions about the Women's Rumble and then the XFL. So some good discussions here today. We went over time just a little bit, but because we don't want to sit here and talk all day long, and because we know our listeners and even I'm
I would consider myself a listener because I do listen to the show back again sometimes. You know, just I don't want everybody to sit here all day long and listen to us talk, so we try and keep it short, sweet, and to the point. So that's what we tried to do today. But, you know, some hot topics, you know, you get to some discussions, and that's what makes the podcast fun.
Right. Make sure you get to our hub, MarkOutMania.com. That's where you can find out where you can get the podcast. You can also listen and download it at our website as well. Find us on Twitter, Facebook, everywhere on social media. Search MarkOutMania. And also remember, if you want to listen to the show live, you can do that for $1 a month. And that not only gives you the access to our Discord server, but you help support the show as well. We also have 5 tiers of giving. So whatever you can do would be greatly appreciated. And one of these days, I don't know if you've seen some of the podcasts that are on YouTube that have like these amazing sets that they're on.
Yeah.
And they're just podcasting.
I mean we have a solid set. Matt Zion, you know, we had him on a couple of weeks ago. He's like, man, I like y'all set. I said, yeah, I know. I wish it was ours.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm talking about in a building that's ours. And we can put whatever we want on the walls, all the memorabilia we want, and just have it all decked out in wrestling history, and it just be an amazing backdrop.
I tell you what, we could always do that at Brinkman's house. He has like a whole shrine full of wrestling memorabilia, action figures, all kind of stuff. So that would be a cool. See, he has like his little case of all this wrestling stuff. That would be a cool backdrop for a setup. But you know, hey. I always wish I had a setup like that, but I'm not on Brinkman's level as far as that goes.
Most definitely. If you want to help support the show, it's really easy. Just go to patreon.com and search MarkOutMania or find our link on MarkOutMania.com.
And also next week, our next episode, December 28th, we'll probably, I'm off that day actually, but I'll come in that evening and we'll record it, you know, same time. And we'll release it that evening. So, it'll be our year in review. We'll talk about, you know, the superstar. I think what we can do, we'll talk about this when we show prep next week, but, you know, the wrestler of the year, performer, you know, match of the year, show of the, we can come up with some categories and we're basically just going to give our year in review thoughts is what that's going to be next week. You know, it's the holidays, so not much going to be happening next week, I don't think, in the world of wrestling. And then the week after that, it's really going to gear up with Wrestle Kingdom and then on forward.
All right, so this has been our last show before Christmas. Let's go ahead and give some Christmas wishes out there. Patrick, you go first.
Just want to send a special Merry Christmas out to everybody that's listened to us. I mean, I want to send a special Merry Christmas out to everybody that just celebrates Christmas, especially our troops overseas that, you know, they can't be home for Christmas, obviously. Anybody who can't be home for Christmas, you know, we personally want to wish you guys a Merry Christmas. Anybody listening, we just hope everybody has a wonderful and safe Christmas holidays, and we'll talk to you guys next week.
Man, that is such a great point, Patrick. If you know someone who is a troop that is stationed overseas and they like wrestling, send them our link. It would be awesome for us to give an hour of time throughout their day that they could just get away.
Yeah.
And immerse themselves in wrestling talk and laugh and have fun with us and play along with our scorecards and just have an hour. And maybe they listen to it more than that, but at least an hour a day where they can forget about bullets and ISIS and guns and tanks and surviving just another day.
Yep.
Man, that would be a blessing to us. That would be the biggest Christmas gift you can give us. So send our link. If you know a soldier who is in combat overseas or stationed overseas, send them our link so that they know about our show. Definitely.
Absolutely.
I want to give a big Christmas shout out to everybody, just like Patrick was saying. Everybody who listens to the show, you're much appreciated. Thank you so much. And big shout out to everybody here at Town Square.
Oh, yeah.
The place that we work, man. I tell you what, radio has been a passion of mine forever. And I'm so glad to be back in the game. I'm glad to be making friends like Patrick and everybody that's here. And I guess sending Christmas wishes back home to the wife and the 2 kids and the cat.
Especially, can't forget the cat.
Yeah, exactly. And the goldfish.
Absolutely.
No, it's not a goldfish. It's a betta. That's right. My wife kills all the goldfish.
Either way, the pets are part of the family.
Most definitely. All right, guys. We had another great episode. Thank you so much for listening. Check us out, MarkOutMania.com. We're out.
You've been listening to the Mark Out Mania podcast, a Lake Area Media, LLC production. The views and opinions expressed in this show are those of Ryan Keith and Patrick Fry and are not affiliated with any wrestling promotion or company. Follow Mark Out Mania on Facebook and subscribe to us on YouTube. For all Markout Mania links, news, and free podcasts, visit MarkOutMania.com. You've been marked.